Hello everyone. Today I'm going to explain about the graphical user interface frames, using frames. All right. To do that, you have to import from tkinter, and then in order to save, I'm going to copy and paste some of the code that I made. So I would say my root is the tk uh, object. That tk object has a title and geometry. This is the size. And then if you do simply and then root main loop, then I'm going to save this, download, and I put there pi frame. Okay. And then if I run this, then I have this. Okay. The title is temperature converter. So remember that we had the temperature converter from Celsius to Fahrenheit and from Fahrenheit to Celsius. Right? So that's what we are going to do. This is a graphical user interface. All right. So on this frame, what I'm going to do is, as you see somewhere in the slide, then we can divide the three uh, the subframes, so top and middle and bottom. In the bottom, we have bottom left frame and bottom right frame. And then on the top frame, we can put some messages. And the mid frame, we can put here the prompt and then the text fields so that user can enter. And we in the bottom of frame, we have buttons, one on left side and one on the right side. And then by clicking this Celsius, the button, that number user entered is assumed to be a Fahrenheit so that it can be converted to Celsius. And if you press the button to Fahrenheit, then number entered is assumed to be a Celsius so that it can be converted to Fahrenheit. All right. So we need to design those frames, as you can see here. Okay, so that we have top frame, mid frame, and bottom frame, and also in the bottom frame contains bottom left frame and bottom right frames. Okay, so we have actually 3 and 4, 5 frames. Those 5 frames are gridded. So we have 3 rows: row number 0, row number 1, and 2. So row number 0, then we have, there's a top frame, and then mid, there's a row number 1, and then bottom, we have a row number 2. Within that, see here, these top, mid, bottom frames are contained in the root frame. They are all in the root frame with that size. But bottom left and bottom right frames, these frames are contained in these frames, bottom frame. So bottom frame contains a bottom left frame and bottom right frames. Within this bottom frame, we have one single row, one left and one right, so that we can put the sticky west and east side. All right, and we can save this and then execute it. Therefore, we have top, mid frame, and the bottom frame. bottom frames, as you can see here, bottom frame, they are the same background color, so that you don't see any difference left and right now. Okay. After that, we need to do some labels. So on top, we have the labels. On top frames, two labels, temperature converter, and then we have some guide. And then those two labels are organized in the grid, as we did here. Frames are organized in the grid. Grid can specify by rows and columns, row number and column numbers. So row equals 0, then within this guide should appear on the top row within that top frame. And then guide 2 is the second row within that top frame. Okay, that's what we said here. This label is contained in this frame. So once we have this, and then execute it, so that we have two labels, row 0 and row 1. And then in the mid frame, then we have here the label, so that we can guide in that mid frame. We can say enter a temperature. And then there is a button, not button, there's a text field. Text field is in this object, class, entry. So entry is in the mid frame. So that entry, which is T input, T input appears in the second row. And then that input guide is in the first row within that mid frame. And then for each, this object and that objects, this and that, those two are more specifically placed in this way, relative X. So horizontally, it could be on the center, and vertically from the top 30%. And then T input object is placed in the center horizontally, and then vertically also center. Okay, and save and execute it. So it appears just like this. Okay, and then in the bottom is a little bit tricky, more things that you need to do. So we have in the bottom has a button, bottom left frame has a button, bottom right frame has a button. Okay, left button and right button. If this button is clicked, I mean the label to this button is, you can say 2 Celsius or 2 Fahrenheit. When this button is clicked, then command, this is executed. This command specified in this way. Command equal lambda, lambda is a reserved word, followed by the input arguments to that called function, convert to C. This is a function. This is the function defined above. We should define this. So this function takes fdt. F is the frame label, and then D is the input, and then T is output. Okay, and then once this button is clicked, then this function is executed, and then return whatever the value that is displayed in these labels. Okay, so we can call that out C. Okay, so C button and out C. Those two objects are declared here, and they are organized in this grid. Okay, top row and second row, and then both are in the same column, and then they are placed in horizontally center and then vertically top 3% and top 70%. That is what this left button specified. Similarly, right button is specified. And on the right button, we call different function convert to TF. Here, left function we call convert to C. Because we call that function, those functions should be defined. So that is in this way. So we have a function here. Okay, two functions, convert to C and convert to F. Convert to C takes 3 input parameters. Okay, and then this is its input. From that T input, we need to read it. So T input dot get and convert it to floating points, and then that F is computed to have Celsius, and then that Celsius is formatted to in this formats. Okay, so that is two floating points data, and then we need to put here degree. So that is degree symbol. So you call that tdig. So tdig is nothing but Unicode and 00B0. 00B0 is a hexacode. This gives us the degree small circle symbols. So that is displayed. We need to set the value, and the value should be written in this label. Okay, BT left to frame labels, and then we read that, and then we need to write it out. And then out C is grid in the second row, and then that is placed in the center of that frame, and then 70% from top. That is the same as this convert to C. If we run it, then it's like this. So we put here, for example, 31 degree. If it is written in Fahrenheit, then we can convert it to Celsius. So it'll be negative 0.56. This is a temperature degree symbol, and then Celsius. If we click this Fahrenheit, which means we assume the value entered by user is in Celsius, so that we can convert it to Fahrenheit. So as we click this, then that is 87.80. All right. So this is what you can see. All right. I think this is it.